Hello, my name is Maureen Buckle, and I'm from the Office of Finance at the State Bar of California. With me is Steve Moad, who heads the Office of Regulation at the State Bar of California. Today, we'll be walking through the agency billing application for agency administrators, as well as walking through CTAPP requirements for client trust account reporting and IOLTA reporting, which were put in place in 2023. For now, I'm going to turn off my video and share my screen. To navigate to the agency billing login page, you can start from the State Bar of California homepage and either use the search function or select attorneys. Under 2024 fee cycle, select agency billing. And then about midway through the page, there's some information here on the agency billing and the annual 2024 fees. And the agency billing login link is here. If you have forgotten your password, please click this link to be emailed a reset link to the email address on the account. There's also a guide for walking through the steps if you forgot your password. If you are unable to log in because the agency administrator has changed or no longer works at your organization, please email us at agencybilling@calbar.ca.gov. There's a link here to the agency billing user guide. Many of you will already have an agency billing account from years prior, but we're going to walk through the steps of registering a new agency. You'll be first prompted to enter the agency legal name as it appears on tax records and the email address of the agency administrator. For the purpose of this training, I will just be making up a law firm to use. If you're met with an error when entering in that email address on the previous page, then there's likely already an account set up for your agency. Please contact agencybilling@calbar.ca.gov for assistance. You'll be first prompted to enter a username and a password. Please make sure you follow the guidelines of the requirements for the passwords. And also, you'll be prompted to enter a short name. The short name helps us at the State Bar identify your agency if there are multiple agencies with similar names. For agency type, there's a number of options. Other for-profit corporations are companies like Disney or Coca-Cola. For IOLTA funded legal services provider, if you are an IOLTA funded legal services provider, it's important you select this because you'll be given the option to certify that you are an IOLTA funded agency so you can scale your licensees. Today, we will be a private law firm. You will enter all the required fields. If you have multiple branches or locations, we suggest that the address information for your main login information is your main headquarters. For these security questions, please do not use personal information when selecting and answering these questions in the event that you will need to change administrators over time. So they should be somewhat generic to your organization. And you can select yes if this will be the main computer you as the agency administrator are using to manage the account. Once you've submitted all that, you will enter in the information that you just applied to this new account, and you'll be prompted to answer a security question. I already have this account set up in our test site, and we'll be walking through the system there. I'll be spending most of the portion of my training talking about annual fees, and Steve will be covering the client trust accounting and compliance tracking portions, but I want to point out a couple other features on your homepage. Up in the top right corner, there's a link to the agency billing user guide, as well as a link to frequently asked questions. Your payment history tile will allow you to see past year's receipts, as well as the 2024 payment confirmation once you have submitted and we've successfully accepted your payment. Frequently requested forms are located here. Once we have received and processed your payment, you will be able to order plastic bar cards for your licensees. And please note that licensees are also able to log into their My State Bar profiles to download paper copies of their bar cards. The user profile tile will take you to your agency user information if you need to update the contact name, address, phone number, email, reset your security questions, or reset your password. Now we'll talk about 2024 annual fees. At the top of your screen, you'll see this light blue bar that denotes the billing year of 2024. Next to it is your agency billing number. This is a number that's unique to your organization, and you may be asked to reference this number if you are emailing or calling our agency billing team or our finance team for support. I'm going to clear out the licensee in here, and we can start from a clean slate. But for those of you who used an agency billing account to pay last year or enter in client trust account information, those licensees will automatically be listed, as well as anyone you've added throughout the year. But for the purposes of this training, we'll start from a blank slate and talk about adding licensees. If you only have a handful of licensees to add, you can do so by manually keying in each one with their state bar number. You'll navigate to Add Licensees and click the Add Licensee. We'll talk about branches in a minute, but for right now, we don't have any branches, so we'll select None as it is a required field. You'll begin to key in the bar number for your first licensee, and their name should auto-populate. When you click Update, you'll see that licensee added to your roster with the current year fees. If you have a long list of licensees you need to add to your roster and don't want to do it one by one, you can actually do it using an Excel template to do a mass upload. Again, navigate to Add Licensees and download the licensee template. So you will simply enter in your list of state bar numbers for all of your licensees. And we're going to go ahead and assign these licensees to branches right now. We're going to say this group works at the San Diego branch, excuse me. The remaining attorneys work at our San Francisco branch. It is important that there are no formulas entered into these cells. They must be hard-coded data. And please do not change the formatting of this template or it might not upload correctly. So we'll save this just locally on my desktop. You can save it wherever makes the most sense for you. And then we will upload that template. And we'll see our full list populated here. Do you want to call out at the bottom of your screen? If you have a very long list of attorneys, you can tab over to see more with the forward and back buttons. You can also use the drop down to increase the number of rows you're able to view on one page. And at the top of your screen on the column headers, you can click to change the order of your list and also use the filter. For example, if I just wanted to view my San Diego branch licensees, you can do so here. Also note that the agency billing application will time out after 20 minutes of idle use. So please save your changes frequently, as any unsaved changes will disappear if you are logged out. So let's go back to branches. If you need to assign a branch or change the branch for one licensee, for example, this licensee is not assigned to a branch, you will scroll to the right, click on the pencil to edit the licensee branch, and from the drop down, assign them to a branch. You can manage your branches under the Add Licensee tab by clicking branch/location. We can add additional branches. We can also edit the branches currently on the roster. You can add contact information specific to that branch as well. We will speak more about the purpose of branches and how you can use branches when we talk about paying for your licensee's annual fees. But for now, we'll move on to the various fee components of your 2024 annual fees. Quickly before that, actually, if you need to remove a licensee from your roster, if they no longer work at your organization, you can either delete one by the X to the far right of that person's name. If you need to remove multiple licensees at a time, please use the Remove Licensees button at the top of the roster to select multiple licensees to remove. And you will always be met with a confirmation pop-up box making sure you want to remove licensees so you won't accidentally remove any. Active fees this year are $510. You may see that some attorneys have a different amount under this fee section. To be able to view and see what is making up this, in this case, $585, please use the drop down to the left of that individual's name to see their breakdown of fees. In this case, this attorney has their $510 2024 active licensee fee, as well as a $75 past due or reinstatement. The agency billing application will default to add all donations to all licensees' fees for the year. If you would like to remove all donations for all licensees, you can do so under the Preferences option and simply click Prefer to remove all donations for all licensees. If you choose to pay for some donations on behalf of your attorneys, use the Donations button to select one or more to apply to all licensees. In this case, we will select the Access to Justice Donation Fund at the recommended amount of $100. This is an editable field, so you can change this amount. We'll keep it at $100 for now and apply that donation. And we'll see that for all of our attorneys. And again, I'm going to save my changes. If you would like to remove a donation, you can, again, use the Donations button. You can also remove a donation for a specific attorney by using their specific drop-down tab, navigating to Donations, and clicking the X, or by adding new donations, clicking Add and Update Donations to add, for example, the $25 California Supreme Court Historical Society donation to their row. All right, moving on to CLA. CLA, or California Lawyers Association, is this year an $120 base membership fee, and individual sections are $40. The State Bar of California collects fees on behalf of the California Lawyers Association. However, if you have any questions about CLA membership or CLA sections, you'll need to reach out to CLA directly. For attorneys that are already members of CLA and already signed up for specific sections, you'll see their designations already generated here. If you would like to, for example, pay for CLA membership on behalf of all of your attorneys, you will click CLA sections at the top and then the plus sign for CLA sections. It's important to note that you cannot add an attorney to an individual section unless they are already a member or paying for the CLA base membership. To add licensees to that membership, you'll click let me go back one, excuse me, the hamburger button under options. You'll see the attorneys that are already members from your roster of CLA. You can add licensees, select the licensees you wish to pay, or you can select all. In this case, we'll just select a handful. Click Add Licensees Selected, done, and you'll see the new licensees appear here. The same is true for sections, but once again, an attorney must be a member of CLA before they can sign up for specific sections, so they must have this Z membership selected before they can sign up for, let's say, family law, IP law, etc. If you wish to remove the CLA sections and membership for all of your licensees, you can do so with the minus sign CLA sections button. Again, this for attorneys that are already signed up or already members of CLA. This does not mean that you are revoking their membership in any way. This just means that you are choosing to not pay for it on their behalf. If you are a nonprofit organization or a government agency, please select CLA discount to certify that you are a government agency or nonprofit, and CLA membership fees will be scaled from $120 down to $80, and the individual sections from $40 down to $30. If you were to apply that, you will see that deduction in the deductions column. I'm going to remove that for now. And if you've made many changes to the CLA designations on your roster and you'd like to reset it back to how it looked when you first entered in your licensees, you can kind of reset and refresh by clicking Preferences, Prefer to remove all CLA sections for all licensees, and then uncheck that, and it will refresh back to how it was at the start. On to legal specialization. If an attorney already has a legal specialization, it will automatically appear here. You are not able to pay for legal specialization or apply for legal specialization on behalf of a licensee that doesn't already have a legal specialization designation. So the option you have here for legal specialization as the agency administrator is to simply remove paying for legal specialization renewal fee of $360 for any licensees that may already have that designation. Moving on to deductions. You can apply deductions using this deduction button at the top of the screen. You can apply one or both of the deductions available, which is the $45 legal services assistance deduction and the $2 elimination of bias deduction. In this case, we'll apply both. If you need to remove those deductions, you can do so by selecting them again and hitting cancel. If you would like to change the deduction selection for an individual licensee, you'll scroll to the left of their name, use the drop down, navigate to deductions and discounts, and make your changes here. You'll see that the options for an individual licensee's drop down are similar to the ones at the top. So these top buttons allow you to make changes for all of your licensees, but you can also always make changes for individual licensees through this drop-down option. We'll save all the changes we've made so far. Once you have confirmed the fees, donations, CLA selections, specialization, and deductions that should be applied to your licensees, you'll be ready to pay. If you have a long list of attorneys and you'd prefer to confirm all of the selections and amounts are correct, you can export this roster to Excel. We'll bring this over. To see all of the information in one place. To ensure that everything is how you intend it to be before you pay. There are a few methods through which you can pay your annual fee bill. If you would like to pay through credit card or ACH e-check, you'll click Pay this amount, which will take you to our payment gateway. If you choose to pay by credit card, please note that there is a 2.5% fee that is assessed by the payment processor. The State Bar has no control over that fee. And if you choose to pay by ACH, It must be from an active U.S. bank account. I want to speak quickly about bank routing numbers. When you're entering in your information for paying through ACH, and you get to the bank routing number section, you can use, by hovering over this question mark, this image to help determine on your check where you would find your routing number and your account number. Please note routing numbers are always 9 digits. As you start to key in your routing number, you'll see that your bank name will auto-populate. If the name of the bank that comes up when you type in your routing number is not your bank, please do not proceed. Please stop and contact your bank to ensure you have the correct routing number. And again, if you enter your 9-digit routing number and nothing populates, that means something about that routing number is incorrect. Again, please contact your bank to confirm you have the correct number. You'll fill out all the other required information and hit next to complete your payment. If you would like to pay by check, you can do so by first downloading an invoice, which you will mail in with your check. This is located on the right side of the screen under invoicing. If you would like to pay for all of your branches at once, everybody in your roster at once, you'll select download invoice. The pop-up will give you some information about where to send your check and when the check is, or when the payment is due. This will generate a PDF invoice. Which summarizes all of the information you see on your agency billing fee page. Please note that the check must match the grand total on your invoice. If we receive a check that does not match the total on the invoice, we will not be able to process the payment. It's extremely helpful if you include the invoice number on the memo line of your check. If you wish to pay for multiple branches or different branches through different methods of payment or different checks, under invoicing, you'll select branch invoice. To see your branches and the amounts due for those specific branches. The download button will let you download an invoice specific to that branch so you can mail in a check just for that branch. Also, the $ amount will take you to the online payment gateway to choose either credit card or ACH payment. So you may choose to pay for different branches through different methods, different branches separately. That's perfectly fine as long as the check that you send in matches what the invoice amount total is. And talking about branches, you don't have to designate branches by location. If you want to use the branch feature to organize your attorneys into, let's say, associates and partners, or group 1 or group 2, whatever designation makes the most sense for how you would like to organize your licensees is fine. So that summarizes the annual fee option changes and payment options for the 2024 billing cycle. And I will hand it over to Steve to talk about client trust account reporting.
Great. Thank you, Maureen. So the Client Trust Account Protection Program, also known as CTAPP, is a state bar program designed to increase public protection. The program focuses on proactive regulation of attorneys responsible for complying with attorney trust accounting duties. By February 1st each year, licensees are required to report to the state bar if they're responsible for client funds and funds entrusted by others. If so, the attorney must register each and every account online through My State Bar profile, or the law firm can register the accounts through agency billing. Additionally, attorneys responsible for client funds must log into their My State Bar profile and complete an annual self-assessment of their client trust account management practices. Attorneys responsible for trust accounts must also certify that they are knowledgeable about and in compliance with applicable rules and statutes governing client trust accounts and the safekeeping of funds. An attorney who fails to comply with the CTAPP requirements may be assessed fees for noncompliance and eventually enrolled as an involuntarily inactive licensee and unable to practice law. It is important to note that you, as the law firm administrator, can register client trust accounts on behalf of your lawyers, but you can complete only that one portion of the CTAPP requirements. Individual lawyers must still log in and complete the initial report of whether they use a client trust account, complete the self-assessment, certify that they're knowledgeable about and in compliance with the rules regarding the safekeeping of funds, and submit the declaration. It is the responsibility of the lawyer to ensure their CTAPP reporting is complete. It is the lawyer that is subject to non-compliance fees and eventually inactive enrollment if they are not in compliance. That is true even if they're not in compliance only because their law firm did not register their client trust accounts. We do have a how to comply with CTAPP using the State Bar profile page video on the website. So we would encourage you to watch that video so you know what is expected of them, and for you to encourage your attorneys to watch that video as well. Now, as Maureen said, this is our agency billing application. And so agency administrators can log in and register the client trust accounts on behalf of the attorneys in their firm. To do that, they would go to the Go to CTA Reporting Requirements section and click on that button, as Maureen is doing now. Again, law firms and organizations can complete only this one portion of the requirements for the lawyers who work for them. So after clicking on the Go to CTA Reporting Requirements button, there will be a pop-up asking if you're trying to register accounts for the CTAPP annual reporting or pursuant to Rule 2.2C, reporting changes to the IOLTA account within 30 days of that change. But because we're recording this video between December 1st and December 31st, that pop-up has been disabled. During that time, if you're trying to access it during that time, you can comply with 2.2C by providing the account information during the CTAPP annual reporting functionality. After December 31st, that pop-up will reappear, and you should use the 2.2C option to report changes to your accounts that are effective on or after January 1st, 2024, until the next year's annual CTAPP reporting comes around in December of next year. So this is the CTA dashboard, and you can see what accounts are there. If you've used this before, you can add new accounts, you can report that you have closed accounts, etc. You can also see that the advantage to using agency billing is that the licensee information is imported into the CTAPP compliance area, meaning that part of your work is already done for you. Please keep in mind that the current CTAPP reporting application only allows you to register California IOLTA accounts housed at California-approved financial institutions. Therefore, if your firm or agency is entitled to hold IOLTA accounts outside of California, you must register these accounts as non-California IOLTAs. At this point, I'm often asked about the difference between an IOLTA account and a non-IOLTA account. Rule 1.15 of the Rules of Professional Conduct requires attorneys who handle trust accounts to hold those funds in one or more interest-bearing bank accounts labeled as a trust account or words of similar import. When an attorney or a firm holds funds of a nominal amount for a client or third party, or holds funds for only a short period of time, the attorney is required to place those funds into an IOLTA account. The IOLTA account must be established and maintained with an eligible institution that offers IOLTA accounts that meet certain requirements. Eligible institutions are listed on the State Bar's website. Because the interest on a pooled client trust account is difficult to apportion, when money is held in an IOLTA, the bank remits interest or dividends on the account to the State Bar to support approximately 100 nonprofit legal aid organizations that provide civil legal services to indigent people, seniors, and persons with disabilities. When an attorney or firm holds funds for a single party that are large enough to generate more than nominal interest, or when an attorney holds funds for a single party for an extended period of time, those funds must be held in a non-IOLTA trust account. For example, funds held as the administrator of a family trust. The attorney may use a non-IOLTA account because the entrusted funds will earn interest in excess of the cost to maintain the account. The interest earned goes to the client. When deciding whether to deposit client funds into an IOLTA account or a non-IOLTA, among other factors, the attorney should consider the amount of the funds to be deposited, the expected duration of the deposit, and the cost of establishing and administering non-IOLTA accounts for the client or third party's benefit. If you need more information, please see Rules 2.100, 2.110, and 2.111 of the Rules of the State Bar. You may also want to refer to Business and Professions Code Section 6211 and to the Handbook on Client Trust Accounting for California Attorneys. If you have further questions about trust accounts, including whether your firm needs a trust account, the rules of trust accounting, and any changes to the rules regarding the safekeeping of funds, please contact the State Bar's Ethics Hotline. With that understanding, let's click on the Manage Accounts button. So after clicking on the Manage Accounts button, a Manage Accounts pop-up appears. If you've previously registered accounts, those accounts will display here. And you would then just need to verify the account information is correct, and then click the pencil icon on the right side of the account to update the balance to the balance on December 31st of 2023. If there's no account opened date, you will have to add that in order to save the balance information changes. If the information is already there, you don't need to worry about entering the account open date. You can also inactivate an account by clicking on the exclamation point to the right side of the account. You'll have to provide a reason for and effective date of that change. You can also add a new account by clicking on the Add Account button on the upper left of the pop-up. That will bring up a new screen where you register the details for each and every account, one account at a time. So first, we're going to choose the type of account that you want to open from or that you have opened from the drop-down menu. And you can select California IOLTA, non-California IOLTA, or non-IOLTA. The type of account is determined at the time the account is opened with the bank, and it never changes. So one account will never be both an IOLTA and a non-IOLTA. When adding an account, you should add the routing number before the bank name. As you start typing the routing number, a drop-down menu will appear with routing numbers and bank names. When you see the complete routing number, you can click on it with your mouse or press the down arrow on your keyboard to highlight it and then press Enter on your keyboard. And it will fill in the routing number and the bank name based on the routing number you've selected. Please note that the bank name is not a user editable field. Because of the vagaries of the way the database works, if you're trying to enter a California IOLTA and the routing number begins with 0, please omit the leading 0 when entering the routing number. That will make the routing number appear in the drop-down menu. After the bank name, you enter your account number, the date the account was opened, and the year-end balance on December 31st of the reporting period. Last year, we got some people who wrote and said, it's only December 11th. How am I supposed to know the balance on December 31st? so I entered the balance on December 11th. Please do not do that. You can do your CTAPP reporting after December 31st, or you can add the account and then come back after December 31st to add the balance if you prefer. The balance should be the bank balance on December 31st, the one on your statement or on your online account. You should include two digits after the decimal place, and you should not include a $ or commas in the balance. Finally, if you're entering a non-IOLTA or a non-California IOLTA, you will need to select the state in which the account is held. If you're entering a California IOLTA, California is pre-selected and cannot be changed. When you click Update, the account will be added to the Manage Accounts screen. Once you've verified that the account was added correctly, you can X out of the Manage Accounts screen up at the top right, and that will take you back to the CTAPP dashboard. You can see that every lawyer in your agency has one row for every account that you have added. That way you can connect or relate lawyers to each account individually. An important tip here is that you do not need to relate every single lawyer to a client trust account. Licensees are responsible for client trust funds and therefore must be related to at least one client trust account if they were responsible for trust funds in the reporting period. That means they either, number one, acted as a signatory on a trust account, exercised managerial or primary administrative oversight for a trust account, even if there was no money in the account, or number two, were otherwise responsible for client funds and funds entrusted by others under the provisions of Rule 1.15 of the Rules of Professional Conduct. We, the State Bar, cannot tell you which lawyers in your firm have responsibilities under Rule 1.15. However, please keep in mind that a lawyer may be responsible for complying with the requirements or prohibitions in Rule 1.15 of the California Rules of Professional Conduct, even if they are not the lead lawyer on a case, even if they're not the named lawyer on the trust account, and even if they're not the quote-unquote billing partner. In determining whether a lawyer has a duty under Rule 1.15, the lawyer should not look to the relationship between the lawyer and the trust account, or at least not exclusively, but instead should examine the relationship between the lawyer and the client and the lawyer and the funds. You should consult with the lawyer, the managing partner, and reach out to the ethics hotline if appropriate. Some examples of lawyers who likely do not have responsibilities under Rule 1.15 include a government lawyer employee who's not responsible for the safekeeping of entrusted funds, an in-house counsel who is employed by their client and does not receive or hold client funds or funds entrusted by others, law professors who do not represent clients that involve any entrusted funds and do not otherwise receive or hold entrusted funds, a lawyer in a large firm who only performs document review, has no interaction with any clients, and has no responsibilities to carry out any of the duties under 1.15. And finally, a lawyer who bills for fees and costs after completion of the work and therefore does not take advance fees, and their practice does not involve the receipt of any other funds in which a client or third party has an interest, for example, client settlement funds, etc. We've tried to make this application as user-friendly as we can by adding these instructions as to which attorney should be related to a CTA at the top of the page. You can see that in the green section here. You can relate or assign lawyers to each account manually by clicking on the green plus sign on the right side of the dashboard. You can unrelate or unassign lawyers manually by clicking on the red minus sign that appears once they've been related to that account. Clicking the green plus sign will associate that attorney to the account and then, as I mentioned, display that red minus sign, signifying they can be disassociated. Last year, some people were confused because they thought the green plus sign meant that the attorney was already associated to the account, so they didn't associate them. You can also see if the attorneys are currently associated to a particular account by looking in the currently associated column for that attorney and that account, which Maureen is pointing out now. So we've just shown you how to add accounts individually and how to relate attorneys to accounts individually. But what if you don't want to do these things manually? You can download, update, and re-upload a spreadsheet for your bank accounts and another spreadsheet for the associations between the lawyers and the bank accounts. To mass edit account information, click on the Download Bank Details button. A spreadsheet will open on an Instruction tab. We'll wait just a minute. Hopefully that will open. There it is. It's just very small. After you read the instructions, you can move to the next tab to see that the accounts are there. What accounts are there, and you can edit, add, or delete the accounts, or set it to remove the accounts. You can then save the file and click Upload Bank Details, and it will update the CTA dashboard. Please be sure to follow the instructions to make sure the file is processed correctly. For example, if you are inactivating an account, you must also add a code for the inactivation closure reason. If you've closed the account, you can't just delete the line from the spreadsheet and then upload the spreadsheet. It won't process correctly. If the file was not processed correctly, you can click on the Upload Errors button to see where that issue was. If we can go back to there you go, back to the dashboard. If you click on that Upload Errors button, it will list specifically what the errors in the spreadsheet were. Thank you, Maureen. You can X out of that. And then to mass update the CTA connection to attorneys, you can click the button to download that spreadsheet. And you can see the current connection between attorneys and the CTA accounts in column H. When that spreadsheet opens, there you go, column H. You can put an A to, sorry, there it is. And if we go on to the next one, in column H is the current connection. And you can put an A to assign or a D to disassociate in column I to change the connection between that attorney and the CTA. Again, with this file too, you will want to be sure you read the instructions. For example, if you enter a D in column I to disassociate an attorney, you must also enter a code in the disassociation reason in column J. You can then save the file and upload the CTA connection to attorney's file as well, using that button on the dashboard. The dashboard will then update, assuming the file is processed correctly, to reflect the changes you made in the attorney CTA connections. Again, if the file is not processed correctly, you can click on the Upload Errors button to see what the issue was. I also want to share with you something new this year that the State Bar has added. If we can go back out to the home page, there's a new tile for compliance tracking. And this functionality allows you, the firm administrator, to see whether any firm licensees are in danger of being involuntarily enrolled as inactive due to non-compliance. You can access it by going to the compliance tracking tile, as Maureen just did, on the agency billing homepage. Once inside that area, you'll be able to see whether on the CTAPP tab, in step 1, the annual client trust account reporting, the licensee reported that their current firm maintained a trust account on their behalf. In step 2, whether the licensee said their current firm would register accounts on their behalf, whether the current firm has registered, whether your firm has registered any account on behalf of the licensee, and whether the final declaration has been submitted. And finally, whether the licensee is, quote, in compliance with CTAPP. Of course, if the lawyer answered no to the step 1 annual client trust account reporting questions and submitted the declaration from there, the CTAPP compliant column may say they are compliant. But if the firm registered an account on their behalf, the lawyer should go back into their My State Bar profile and revise their response to at least one, to answer yes to at least one of the step 1 annual client trust account reporting questions. and thereafter complete the remaining CTAPP requirements. If there is a mismatch in responses between the attorney reporting no accounts and the firm registering accounts on their behalf, that could cause an inquiry. I would strongly encourage you to use this functionality to ensure your lawyers are not in danger of being moved to involuntary inactive due to non-compliance. You can also see compliance tracking for other state bar requirements, including MCLE and licensee record reporting, etc., on those other tabs. That's all I have for CTAPP compliance. If you have any further questions, you can reach out to ctapp@calbar.ca.gov. You can also give us a call, although sometimes the email is better. Maureen, do you have anything else?
No, I'm good. Thank you, Steve.
All right. Thank you.